Recently, doctors who resigned and walked out of their training hospitals in protest against the expansion of medical schools have asked the International Labor Organization, ILO, to intervene in the government's work stoppage order. In response, the ILO informed them of the intervention and sent a letter to the government asking for their thoughts. The Ministry of Employment, Labor and Welfare has stated that they believe the order for the doctors to return to work is necessary to protect people's lives and is justified under an exception to the ILO Convention's rules against forced labor. Today, we're discussing the International Labor Organization, ILO. International Labor Organization. The International Labor Organization, ILO, is a branch of the United Nations dedicated to enhancing the working conditions and quality of life for workers worldwide. Established in 1919 and based in Geneva, Switzerland, its primary goal is to promote social justice and protect the rights of employees. South Korea became a member of the ILO in 1991, demonstrating its commitment to international labor standards and cooperation. The ILO has government, worker, and employer representatives in each member state, each of whom speaks and votes independently. Currently, the ILO has branches in the Americas, Africa, Europe, Central Asia, and Asia Pacific. In Korea, the labor representatives are alternately represented by the Democratic Trade Union Confederation and the Korean Confederation of Trade Union. ILO Convention. The International Labor Organization, ILO, organizes its conventions into three main categories: core, priority, and technical conventions. These conventions encompass a total of 190 treaties along with 206 recommendations. In total, the 189 member states have ratified an average of 47 conventions, the act of agreeing to treaties and other agreements in their national parliaments. In particular, there are 8 ILO conventions that the ILO recommends that governments must ratify, known as core conventions. The core conventions include the Right to Organize Convention, the Prohibition of Forced Labor Convention, the Prohibition of Child Labor Convention, and the Equal Treatment Convention. Until 2021, South Korea had ratified only 2 core conventions of the International Labor Organization, ILO: the Convention on the Elimination of Child Labor and the Convention on the Protection of All Persons from Discrimination and Equal Treatment. This limited ratification was attributed to the historically confrontational labor relations in South Korea. However, during the Moon Jae-in administration, there was a significant shift. In a cabinet meeting, South Korea ratified all but one of the conventions against forced labor, marking a notable change in its stance towards international labor standards. The key convention that we have not yet ratified is the Abolition of Forced Labor Convention, which requires states to not use forced labor as a sanction for holding or expressing views that are ideologically opposed to the existing political, social, and economic system. However, South Korea was also excluded from ratification in 2021 because it prescribes imprisonment, punishment of forced labor with time served in prison, for violations of the national security law and the law on assembly and demonstration.